The Fisher. A fisher once took his bagpipes to the bank of a river, and played upon them with the hope of making the fish rise. But never a one put his nose out of the water. So he cast his net into the river, and soon drew it forth filled with plenty of fish. Then he took his bagpipes again, and as he played, the fish leapt with joy in the net. "Ah, now you dance when I play," said he. "Yes," said an old fish, "when you are in a man's power, you must do as he bids you." The Shepherd's Boy. There was once a young shepherd boy who tended his sheep at the foot of a mountain near a dark forest. It was rather lonely for him all day, so he thought upon a plan by which he could get a little company and maybe some excitement. He rushed down towards the village calling out, "Wolf! Wolf!" and the villagers came out to meet him, and some of them stopped with him for a considerable amount of time. This pleased the boy so much that for a few days afterwards he tried the same trick, and again the villagers came to his help. But shortly after this, a wolf actually did come out from the forest and began to worry some of the sheep. The boy of course cried, "Wolf! Wolf!" still louder than before. But this time the villagers, who had been fooled twice before, thought the boy was again deceiving them, and nobody stirred to come to his help. So the wolf made a great meal off of the boy's flock, and when the boy complained, the wise man of the village said, "A liar will not be believed, even when he speaks the truth." The Young Thief and His Mother. A young man had been caught in a daring act of theft and had been condemned to be executed for it. He expressed his desire to see his mother and to speak with her before he was led to execution, and of course this wish was granted. When his mother came to him, he said, "I want to whisper to you," and when she brought her ear near him, he nearly bit it off. All the bystanders were horrified, and asked him what he could possibly mean by such brutal and inhuman conduct. "It is to punish her," he said. "When I was young, I began with stealing little things, and brought them home to mother. Instead of rebuking and punishing me, she laughed and said it will not be noticed. It is because of her that I am here today." "He is right, woman," said the priest. "The Lord hath said, 'Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old he will not depart therefrom.'" The Man and His Two Wives. In the old days, when men were allowed to have many wives, a middle-aged man had one wife that was old and one that was young. Each loved him very much and desired to see him like herself. Now, the man's hair was turning gray, which the young wife did not like, as it made him look too old for her husband. So every night she used to comb his hair and pick out just the white ones. But the elder wife saw her husband growing gray with great pleasure, for she did not like to be mistaken for his mother. So every morning she used to arrange his hair and pick out as many of the black ones as she could. The consequence was the man soon found himself entirely bald. Yield to all, and you will soon have nothing to yield. The Nurse and the Wolf. "Be quiet now," said an old nurse to a child sitting on her lap. "If you make that noise again, I'll throw you to the wolf." Now, it chanced that a wolf was passing close under the window as this was said. So he crouched down by the side of the house and just waited. "I am in good luck today," thought he. "It is sure to cry soon, and a daintier morsel I haven't had for many a long day." So he waited, and he waited, and he waited, till at last the child began to cry, and the wolf came forward before the window, looked up to the nurse, and wagged his tail. But all the nurse did was shut the window and call for help, and the dogs of the house came rushing out after the wolf. "Ah," said the wolf as he galloped away, "enemies' promises were made to be broken. The Tortoise and the Birds. A tortoise desired to change its place of residence, so he asked an eagle to carry him to his new home, promising her a rich reward for her trouble. The eagle agreed, and seizing the tortoise by the shell with her talons, soared aloft. On their way, they met a crow, who said to the eagle, "Tortoise is good eating." "The shell is too hard," said the eagle in reply. "The rocks will soon crack the shell," was the crow's answer. And the eagle, taking the hint, let fall the tortoise on a sharp rock, and the two birds made a hearty meal of the tortoise. Never soar aloft on an enemy's pinion. The Two Crabs. One fine day, two crabs came out from their home to take a stroll in the sand. "Child," said the mother, "you are walking very ungracefully. You should accustom yourself to walking straight forward without twisting from side to side." "Pray, mother," said the young one, "do but set the example yourself, and I will follow you." Example is the best precept. The Donkey in the Lion's Skin. A donkey once found a lion's skin which the hunters had left out in the sun to dry. He put it on and went towards his native village. All fled at his approach, both men and animals, and he was a very proud donkey that day. In his delight, he lifted up his voice and brayed, and then everyone knew him, and his owner came up and gave him a sound cudgeling for the fright he had caused. And shortly afterwards a fox came up to him and said, "Ah, I knew you by your voice." Fine clothes may disguise, but silly words will disclose a fool. The Two Fellows and the Bear. Two fellows were traveling together through a woods, when a bear rushed out upon them. One of the travelers happened to be in front, and he seized hold of a branch of a tree and hid himself amongst the leaves. The other, seeing no help for it, threw himself flat down upon the ground with his face in the dust. The bear, coming up to him, put his muzzle close to his ear and sniffed and sniffed. But at last with a growl he shook his head and slouched off, for bears will not touch dead meat. Then the fellow in the tree came down to his comrade and, laughing, said, "What was it that Master Bruin whispered to you?" "He told me," said the other, "never trust a friend who deserts you at a pinch." The Two Pots. Two pots had been left on the bank of a river, one made of brass and the other made of earthenware. When the tide rose, they both floated off down the stream. Now, the earthenware pot tried its best to keep aloof from the brass one, which cried out, "Fear nothing, friend, I will not strike you." "But I may come in contact with you," said the other. "If I come too close, and whether I hit you or you hit me, I shall suffer for it." The strong and the weak cannot keep company. The Four Oxen and the Lion. A lion used to prowl about a field in which 4 oxen used to dwell. Many a time he tried to attack them, but whenever he came near, they turned their tails to one another, so that whichever way he approached them he was met by the horns of one of them. At last, however, they fell a-quarreling amongst themselves, and each went off to pasture alone in a separate corner of the field. Then the lion attacked them one by one, and soon made an end of all 4. United we stand, but divided we fall. The Fisher and the Little Fish. It happened that a fisher, after fishing all day, caught only just one little fish. "Pray, let me go, master," said the fish. "I am much too small for your eating right now." If you put me back into the river, I shall soon grow, and then you can make a fine meal of me." "Nay, nay, my little fish," said the fisher. "I have you now. I may not catch you hereafter. A little thing in hand is worth more than a great thing in prospect."